Hi, we're now joined by Jonathan Lawson, Executive Director of Reclaim the Media. Thanks for being here today, Jonathan.
Hi, thanks, Sarah.
So first of all, didn't we just go through this a couple of years ago with the FCC?
Yes, we did. We went through it back in 2002 and 2003. The FCC tried to rewrite the media ownership rules then to make it, or they did rewrite the media ownership rules then to make it a lot easier for the biggest companies to grow even larger and more consolidated. That change was fought back, but now here we are again, and that's a consequence of the way that the Telecommunications Act of '96 is written. They've got to keep considering these rules over and over again, every 2 years or so.
Oh, I see. So, with media consolidation, the more media consolidation is allowed by deregulation. So, isn't the media deregulated already?
It sure is. There's always different forces that act on the way the media works. The media, it serves a very important purpose in our democracy to give us the diverse points of information that we need to be citizens and to have our free culture. It's the only industry that's actually written into the Constitution for that reason. But we also have to have regulations to control the kind of not natural but the automatic workings of the marketplace, where these businesses just want to get bigger and bigger and more consolidated. So we have these regulations to control that. The regulations, as you point out, are already fairly loose. And so they've allowed Clear Channel to own 1,200 radio stations across the country. And big TV owners like Time Warner, Sinclair, Tribune Company own so many stations across the country already that you could be forgiven for even knowing that there are any limits on these stations. But without the limits that we still have, the problem would be even worse. And you'd have more companies owning potentially all of the major media outlets in a particular city. And that would be a real disaster for local accountability and diverse voices.
I see. So do all of the media outlets, does that include the Internet?
It doesn't include the Internet per se. Mm-hmm. However, the Internet is not a panacea. One of the arguments that we often hear in favor of deregulating the media is that the Internet is so huge and so infinite and so open that it really doesn't matter so much who owns CBS or NBC or ABC. But in reality, most of the news sites that are on the Internet that people go to on a daily basis are owned by those same companies. Plus, not everybody can get the Internet equally. And plus, there's also the problem of net neutrality. The Internet isn't as free as it seems. What happened that set the stage for the FCC's, the last time they tried to deregulate the ownership rules in 2002, before that, there really wasn't a movement of people around the country who really cared about these issues. The FCC had been very used to handling issues about who got to own the media kind of in private. The FCC heard from ABC and Disney, and they heard from General Electric, who owns NBC, and they didn't really hear from a whole lot of people like us. So they were used to being able to make these decisions in private. What happened was that the chairman of the FCC in 2002, who's Colin Powell's son, Michael Powell, was so arrogant and became known for saying things like, well, I don't know what the public interest is. I've never understood this. This is a very weak idea, this public interest idea. And he was so arrogant that he inflamed a movement of people who were inspired by scholars like Robert McChesney, activists like Dee Halleck, who said, look, we've had a movement to fight corporate globalization. We've had a movement to fight apartheid. It's time for us now to have a movement to fight consolidation in the media. And that movement began to grow with groups in San Francisco like the Media Alliance, in Philadelphia like the Media Tank. Here in Seattle in 2002, Reclaim the Media started by gathering together a whole bunch of these organizations and these activists from around the country to come and talk about media consolidation and to respond to Michael Powell's challenge. And this national movement grew. Now we have groups like Free Press, national organizations like Common Cause and Move On are educating their members about the importance of having diverse media and having access to diverse media. So when the FCC in 2003 struck down the media ownership rules, allowing these companies to get so much bigger and so much more powerful, it immediately became the least popular decision in FCC history. There was a huge movement of opposition to that. Mm-hmm. And the movement was so huge at that point that Congress was forced to pay attention. And so you had, pretty quickly, you had Democrats and Republicans coming together like they did on no other issue in 2003, a very contentious period. And they got together and fought back. And they didn't completely overturn the FCC's decision, but the only thing that kept the Congress from doing that was Denny Hastert, the Speaker of the House, refused to let the issue come to a vote. If it weren't for that, then the Congress would have thrown out the entire unfair package. Eventually, the FCC was overruled by the courts in a case called Prometheus versus FCC, and that court decision throwing out the bad rule changes is what brought us back to the situation we're in right now.
So, with the FCC hearing that's coming up in Seattle, they haven't announced what day it's going to be yet.
Not yet. We're expecting it any day, so by the time we're watching this, there may actually be a date.
Well, why have they waited so long to tell us what day?
Well, the short answer is that they really don't care whether the public comes to these hearings or not. Whether it's that they just don't care and they're really incompetent about holding public hearings, or if they're doing it on purpose because they really don't want us to come, who's to say? Either way, it's pretty bad for democracy. But being able to give enough notice for these hearings to allow people to come in from rural areas, to get time off of work, to come in from all the different constituencies that this issue really matters to, it's something they clearly just don't care about, which is why it's all the more important for us to try the best we can to get ourselves and as many of our friends as we can get to come to this hearing when they announce it.
Right. So if I was hearing about this issue and I heard that they waited to announce what day it was going to be, wouldn't I take that as this isn't a very important issue, or they're just trying to make this into a charade? Like, what should I do if I was a regular citizen? How should I take that information?
Well, all those reactions you had are right. I mean, I would feel manipulated. I would feel pushed aside, and that feeling would make me feel angry. And I want to do something about it. And I think that the right thing to do at that point is to speak out and to come to the FCC hearing, and let it be known that we're angry that they didn't want to hear from us, and they're going to hear from us, a lot of us.
So, who does this hearing really affect?
The issues in this hearing affect everybody, and because we're all consumers of the media, and more important than consumers, we're citizens. So in order for us to be citizens and to understand the way our democracy works, to take part in local elections and national elections, we need to have information that comes from our local media outlets. We depend upon good reporting. We depend upon having access to diverse voices from all kinds of opinions and different kinds of people from different backgrounds, and rural people and urban people. That diversity and those voices are exactly what is threatened so seriously by the idea that we could have more consolidation in the media.
For the viewers of SCAN out there, they already receive messages from Democracy Now! And NPR. Why should they care about whether or not the media is deregulated?
I get asked that question a lot, and there is such a vibrant community media sphere that it's easy if you spend most of your intellectual life in that independent media sphere. It's easy to forget that it's really a marginal part of the overall system. And it's romantic to think that that Democracy Now! Or our favorite community media sources are going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger and finally take over the mainstream spaces. And those media certainly are a lot better than some of their mainstream counterparts. But the fact is that the reason that the alternative media are marginal and the mainstream media, if you want to call them that, are in the economically powerful position is a structural thing. So we can't just boycott Comcast or ABC. I think you have my sympathy if you want to do that. But we need to fight this battle at a structural level in order to get the good media more time, more voices, more audiences, and fight the bad media.
Well, thank you for all your thoughts, Jonathan.
Thanks, Sarah.
It was wonderful having you here today.